7 on Sunday. I got the move. You know, I have like an unlimited amount of shirts, guys. Like, I own too many clothes, and especially shirts that have fandom stuff on it. But this shirt is also like really big. I like it. But today, the main reason we're here to talk is 7 on Sundays here. And 7 on Sunday, if you didn't know, is hosted by Grace over at G-Swizzel Books. So I highly recommend you going to check her out. She's always linked down below, as well as the Goodreads group that's going to help us out with information. And I also feel like my camera is too short because my head keeps going out of frame. So let me fix it. I feel extremely short now. But we're going to go with this. But anyway, today we're going to talk about books that got us out of a reading slump. And I love this idea of this topic. I think it's really, really great. But I've been in a constant slump state for like many years now. So I don't know. So these could be bullshit answers. 4 of them I would agree on. And 3 of them I'm just a bit iffy because I read them quite a while ago and I just don't remember what I was feeling. But let's get into it. Okay, the only book that I'm like 110% sure got me out of a reading slump was 4 Dead Queens by Ashrid Schulte. I was obsessed since the first page, and I remember I was so excited that I read like 80 pages in one night when it was already like past 10 o'clock. Like, I was invested. I was like, I'm not sleeping, I'm gonna read, even though I also watched TV and stuff, but I was invested. And the next day I did the same thing and I read even more. But to be honest, this book was captivating because there was so much mystery around it and so much shit going on, and like each queen had something happening, and then the whole thing at the end when I was like, oh my god, what? So like there was things that I saw coming, but one thing that I really didn't see coming, and I was just like, excuse me, how am I meant to feel? And then I tried to find books that gave me the same feeling, and then I went slumpy again. But this was one of my favourite books of the year that I did read it in. It was just such an enjoyable time. Next, I want to talk about House of F and Blood by Sarah J Maas. So I was actually doing a magical readathon back when it was the Harry Potter readathon back in the day, and this was the last book on my TBR, and I'd already finished all the other books in the first part of the month, so obviously I wasn't that slumpy. But what makes me feel like it got me into reading more, actually this is totally doesn't count, because I feel like I came out of like a slump vibe because I started to read over 200 pages of this book a day because I was so invested in the story. But the minute I finished this book, I went into slump territory. So does it count? Probably not. Like, at the time I felt like I was like, yeah, I'm gonna read all this shit, I'm so invested. And I had a lot of fun with this, and I also feel like I read the second one really quickly too in my standard, even though it took me 2 weeks. I still feel like I did a good job. But then I picked up Uprooted, and it took me over 2 weeks to finish it, and it's only 400 pages long, and I hated it. So this technically works and doesn't, but I do know I read it very quickly in my standard because I was like needing to know what was going to happen. Next, I want to talk about The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is always going to fit into every topic no matter what it is, okay? Like, I'm always going to talk about it. But I was just so invested, I had to read this as quick as humanly possible, and I enjoyed it so much. And I do think I'm on that state of like, I really want to read right now, but I can't because I'm just busy in my life, which is so annoying. But this book made me so excited, and I was like reading this like any moment I had. Like, I love it so much and I highly recommend it, and I already want to reread it, and I will probably do that at some point this year. Next, I want to talk about literally my most recent read, and that was Meet Cute by Helen Hunting. So the main reason that I got so much of this book read is I actually brought it with me when I went to Melbourne. So I read The Hating Game on the way there, and I still haven't finished reading that book, which I will have to do at some point. But I read that on the way, but then I read this on the way back, and I had a lot of waiting in the airport to do, and then on the plane. So I read like over 100 pages on the first day, and it is the first time that I've done that in a very long time because I just can't seem to read more than like 50 pages anymore. So when I got to 100, I felt so accomplished, and then it only took me 5 days in total to finish this for me. Like, I used to read like a book every 3 days, and it's so annoying that that just doesn't happen anymore, but we all get busy, and that's the main reason why it's so hard to keep reading, because you just have other commitments. That's why, like, I guess a lot of people who have booktube channels, they kind of just like fade out because they just don't have time anymore, because they either have jobs or they get married or they have kids. Like, it's stuff that happens in life, and you just stop doing your hobbies as much as you used to. And I really want to hold on to my reading, and I probably hold on a bit too tightly to it, but just getting this book finished gives me hope that I will be able to continue reading. And like, I gotta not be stressed about the amount of books that I do own. Probably gonna have a breakdown and just like get rid of all of them, but at this point in time, I'm really happy that I'm happy with my reading. Next, I want to talk about Serpent and Dove by Sherwin Mahurin. So I just feel like this was a quick read. And again, this was a book I read for a magical readathon, but it was like the choose your own adventure style that she created, which was freaking cool. But I read this in 5 days, and again, 5 days seems to be a good amount of reading done for me. Like, I'm proud of myself for that, but I was very invested in the story. I really enjoyed this, and even though for me personally the trilogy does go downhill by the time you get to the 3rd book, and I'm just like, I don't care anymore, but I will always cherish my experience of reading this first book because I love it so much. Like, it's a great story. I love the hate to love. They did it very, very well, and just a witch and a witch hunter falling in love is just something I needed. I love it. Next, I want to talk about People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. So this is a book that I read at my grandma's house, and I actually did a buddy read with Miranda, and again, I read it in 5 days. I'm proud of myself for these achievements, okay? These 5-day reads in the last 2 years make me proud. But I also feel like this opened the floodgates again for me being obsessed with adult contemporary, because obviously, like, I've been listening and reading adult contemporaries for about 3 years now. The Husbands of Evelyn and Hugo really started the journey for me, and it also started my audiobook journey. But I feel like I was just not reading as much adult contemporary as I should have been, and I've actually gotten into more physical reading of adult contemporary. Like, I do love listening to audiobooks, and I'm actually reading, well, actually young adult contemporary on audio at the moment, but I've been listening to it for a really long time, and I'm starting to not even get one audiobook finished a month, and I'm not going to stop my subscription, even though I'm paying like $15 or $20 a month when I don't even finish a book, where I could just buy a new book, but I don't need to buy a new book, so it's fine. But this really got me to love contemporaries again, and I've actually read so many new authors since reading this book, and I'm so excited for book lovers that's coming. Like, I know me and Miranda are going to do that buddy read, and I'm excited, but I just loved these characters, and the story was so cute, and like, all the books that I kind of read after this too ended up being like favorites for my like top 15 of last year. Love contemporary so much. It's like, I'm so glad that I embraced the contemporary side of reading because it's the best. And lastly, I want to mention Made You Up by Francesca Pia, and this is a maybe, okay, because I went and looked back on my reading journal, which did help because I was looking at where I wasn't reading much, and then I had a spike of reading, and this was a spike. And I do remember being invested because I did hear a lot of different things about this story and about something that was kind of like a plot twist, and I was really looking for this plot twist, being like, holy shit, what's it gonna be? It was not what I thought it was, but it was still really interesting. But I found this so easy to read. The writing was really big. Like, sometimes do you feel the same, where it's like if the writing's really big and the chapter headings are really big, you feel like you just fly through a book? Because that happens to me, and then you just keep going and going. It's like when you don't even notice the pages turning, you're just so invested in the story. That is where the good spot is of reading. Like, I really appreciate it. But I definitely got through this quickly, and I feel like I was really like hyped to read more contemporaries afterwards, and I probably did. And then I went down to the slump again because that is my reading. It's just this. One book's a highlight, and a highlight, like, that's where my life is. But I've embraced it, so now I should not feel sad about it. Like, all of these books mean so much to me. Like, I love them all so much. Like, please, if you haven't read any of these, I recommend the shit out of them. So guys, that is all for today's 7 on Sunday. I hope you enjoyed. I'm not currently in a slump, so I'm proud of that, but I'm also fearful for when it's going to happen, where I just like stop reading. But as I said before, my wanting to read is there, so that is all I need to care about and focus on. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!